Hey everybody, thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video that I'm making about this new exciting thing I'm hoping to introduce to you guys and start using hopefully in the future at Grace Point in worship. I was gonna put this all in an email, but as I was typing it out and I realized it's gonna be a really long email. So I was thinking to myself, if it were me, I would much rather watch a video talking about it. Than have to read a super long email. So hope that's okay with you guys. I appreciate you watching. But yeah, so just to jump right into it, as you all know, we right now have, and for the past several months, have been using a click track and in-ears in worship. And that's obviously, as you guys all know, to help us all stay together as a team a little bit better and to kind of follow the correct speed of any particular song so that we're not way too fast or way too slow on any song. So that's why we use a click. Obviously, you guys know that. But using a click is really actually just like the very tip of the iceberg in terms of what is possible in worship when you're using in-ear monitors and a click track. And so this is where I want to introduce to you guys Multitracks. So Multitracks, some of you may know what they are, but if you're not familiar, what multitracks are, let me explain it this way. So right now in worship, if we have, at Grace Point, if we have a full worship team, if it's a super packed worship team, which is great, we have one drummer, we have one electric guitar player, one acoustic guitar player, one keyboard player, I think that's all of them, and then a few singers. We have one of each thing. But if you go and listen to a professionally recorded song, any song, it doesn't have to be just a worship song, any professionally produced song that you'd hear on the radio or on Spotify, that song may have upwards of 5 or 10 different electric guitar alone parts or different keyboard sounds that's all into the recording, or different percussion sounds that you wouldn't hear from just a normal drum kit that we have at church. So it would allow us to, what you can do with them is, so let me say, so an individual track is like one particular sound of the many sounds that make up a recording. That's one track. So like the lead vocal track recording is one track. Or the main electric guitar part that you hear in the song is one of the tracks. And so multi-tracks simply means multiple tracks, or all of the tracks that you hear in a song all put together. And what you're able to do with multi-tracks is you can actually go online and you can purchase the multi-tracks for any particular worship song. And then by purchasing them, that allows you to actually isolate each individual track and adjust the volume individually as you want. And so what we would do with multi-tracks is we would add them to our overall sound of our worship. This would allow us to really enhance our overall sound, really fill in some gaps and make it sound a lot more true to the original song or what you would hear on the radio or on Spotify if you were to listen to the song. It's going to make the song a lot more recognizable to the congregation and just really enhance and fill in our sound. So that's what multi-tracks are for. That's what you do with them. I want to be clear that I want to explain what multi-tracks aren't. Multi-tracks are not to replace any musicians or replace any of you guys. For example, if Kelly Lewis was playing bass on a particular weekend, I would never, even though we would have access to it, I would never also have the bass track volume up in the system, because I don't want to replace Kelly playing live with the bass track, because that would make her feel unimportant, feel unneeded, undervalued. And when you start replacing musicians like that, you might as well just get everybody off the stage, including me, and just play the recording. Because why do you need a worship leader? Why do you need anybody on stage if you just are replacing people with the tracks? So that's not what you want to do. You want to be really supportive of your team. I would always rather have live musicians and live singers. because there's something so special about volunteering and working together as a team in that way. So you have to be kind of tasteful about how you use multitracks. You don't ever want to replace musicians. That's not what my goal is by any means. And you also, when I say you have to be kind of tasteful with it, what I mean is you have to be not intuitive, just wise about how you use them. So for example, if it's a really small team, on the flip side, if it's a really small team and we've got maybe just me and acoustic guitar singing and then one other singer with me, that's happened a few times. What we wouldn't want to do is put all of the tracks or even a bunch of the tracks in with our mix, because we never want the congregation to look up at the stage and think to themselves, there's 2 people on stage, but I'm hearing a full 15-person band. Why is that happening? That's not what you want to do. So we don't want to make it glaringly obvious that we're just adding a bunch of sounds to the mix. But multitracks can be helpful not only to enhance the overall sound, but to fill in some gaps on weeks where we don't have a volunteer. So like I said, I brought up Kelly. Kelly right now is our only bass player other than myself, and I don't play bass super often because I'm usually filling in other instruments. So on the weeks where Kelly isn't playing, I could add in the bass multi-track that we would have purchased to kind of just help fill in the gaps. Again, it's not to replace Kelly. I would still rather her serve, but I can't make her serve every week because that wouldn't be fair. But yeah, so you're able to kind of fill in some gaps, but you don't want to fill in every single gap when there's just 2 musicians. So hope that all makes sense. Just kind of moving right along with my notes here. Again, I told you this was going to be long, so I apologize. I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. So yes, like I said, the way to use multitracks is you would have to purchase them. And so obviously multitracks are not free. And unfortunately at this time, the elders, I brought actually kind of a proposal to the elders a few months back about asking for a budget request to use or to purchase multitracks. And it was denied at the time. They just said, we don't have the budget for it right now, which I completely understood, not upset about it all. It makes perfect sense. But so I've kind of put it off for the past few months. But Eric Slazak, sorry, Eric, I learned recently his last name is Slazak, not Slezak. Eric, he's been awesome. He helped me discover a way that we could use multitracks for free. And it's, by the way, it's not sketchy or anything. It's perfectly legal. We're not, cheating the system or illegally downloading the tracks or anything like that. Just wanted to make that clear. But there's a way that we can do it for free. It would be a lot more work on my end to do this, but I fully believe that it would be worth it to enhance our overall sound. And also, I'll get into it a little bit more, but there's a bunch of different things that you could do with using multitracks that would really, not even just music related in terms of other stuff. So I'll get into that, but I believe it's worth it to do it this way, even though it's more work for me. But what would be different instead of purchasing the multitracks is I would actually take the time to record myself playing some of those different sounds that we're not able to achieve in live performance. So I would record myself playing a couple of the extra electric guitar parts that I wouldn't be playing if I was playing electric guitar in person, or playing a couple of the extra keys or synthesizer pads and sounds that you would hear. I would play some of those extra ones and I could put it all together in a software that we already have called Ableton Live. It's what we currently use to mix our live stream audio, which we could still do on another computer, and I would do this on my laptop. But I could add the click that we're already using and those tracks that I've recorded myself playing all together in this program, this software, Ableton Live, and then we would play the tracks and the click through that instead of through the iPad like the sound guy does right now. So with that being said, when we first start out, it's going to be really minimal because I frankly don't have time to record 15 or 20 different tracks per song we play. That would take years. So it's going to be really minimal at first for a while, but I'm hoping to slowly start adding some recordings to the different songs that we play, at least the ones that we play most often. And let's see. Sorry, guys. Yes, so you may be thinking as well that with the use of multi-tracks, it becomes super, super imperative that we stay in perfect time with the click track at all times. Because right now, when we're just using a click, it's not a big deal. It's a little bit irritating as a team, as a worship team, when you've got the click in your ears and we get slightly off the click. If we get a measure, or even a half measure in front or behind the click, it's a little bit jarring and irritating for the worship team, but the congregation probably won't notice because they obviously can't hear the click. So when we're just using a click, it's fine to get slightly off the click. But when multi-tracks come in, it becomes essential that you stay on the click, because if there's other recorded sounds in the multi-tracks, which there would be, those are not going to slow down or speed up. They're going to stay in perfect time with the click the whole song. And so if the tracks are going in perfect time and we as a band get even a half measure in front or half measure behind, it's going to sound really wonky because the tracks are going to be at a different speed than us, and the congregation will hear those tracks and they'll notice that something doesn't sound quite right. It's going to sound really bad. So it is super, super important that we stay in perfect time with the click. And I know that's kind of a big thing for some of you guys. I know that some of you guys really are still kind of struggling, still getting used to playing with a click, adjusting to it, because it is an adjustment. And especially for some of you who have only been serving a couple months, and you're still just getting used to it. You're still getting used to in-ear monitors maybe. So with that being said, I know it's a big change, and I don't want to just throw you guys to the wolves and throw you in. The last thing I want to do is lose any volunteers over this or push any of you guys out. So to kind of ease into this, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add, right now I'm not going to take the extra time to record multi-tracks of different tracks in the songs that we play. But what I am going to do is put the click and the original recording together in an MP3 file. And then I'm also going to add another really important, really helpful part to multi-tracks is what's called the cue track. So the cue track is, as you guys know, if you're on the worship team, if you're in the sound booth, you may not know this, but if you're on the worship team on the stage, you'll know that at the beginning of every click that we play now, there's this woman's voice or the cue that counts us into the song. She'll say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So she'll count us into the click. And then after that, we don't hear her again the whole rest of the click. But she is a cue track. And so with using multi-tracks, what we would do is there would actually be a lot more cue tracks throughout the song to help us always know exactly where we're going. So for example, when we're a measure before the verse, or a measure before the verse, it'll say verse 2, 3, 4, or a measure before the chorus, it'll say chorus 2, 3, 4. So it eliminates any questions about the order of the song, like, oh, where are we going next? Or, oh shoot, is there one measure or two measures here before the next chorus? I can't remember. It would eliminate all those questions, which is super, super helpful. So yeah, like I said, so for now, the way I'm going to hopefully try to ease us into starting to use multi-tracks is I'm going to put together the click, the cues for the songs, and the original recording all together into an MP3 file, and I'm going to put those on Planning Center. Instead of right now, what's on Planning Center is just the original recording MP3 files that you can play along with or sing along with or just listen to as you're practicing. I'm going to take those off as I start filling in with this click, cues, and tracks, or what I'm going to be calling the original recording is the demo track. So on Planning Center, pretty soon you're going to start seeing MP3 files on the plan. Instead of just the original recording, it's going to say the name of the song, and then it's going to say at the end, click and demo or click and pad. So the pad one is right now with the click, we have just this ambient pad that plays. It just hums like kind of the key note of the song. So if the song's in D, it hums a D note basically and just adds some pretty ambient sound. It's an ambient pad. So there's going to be one MP3 on Planning Center that is the click and demo and cues where you can practice along with the original recording and hear that. And then there's going to be another one once you've practiced that and you feel more confident and you know the order and you know your part a little bit better, you can practice with the click and pad MP3 file. So I'm going to start getting those on Planning Center soon. And for a little bit, it's just going to be, I really want you guys to do your best to practice at home with these things, because especially for those of you who struggle a little bit more following and staying on with the click, it's not just going to come naturally. It comes, you can learn how to stay perfectly in time with the rhythm just through more and more practice. So learning how to hear the click and follow the click, it's going to become second nature as you practice it. So I really encourage you guys, please practice as much as you can with those recordings I'm going to put on Planning Center. And for now, like I said, it's just going to be on Planning Center. And then hopefully maybe after a month or so, I would like to start playing along with the click and cues track in practice on Tuesday nights. And then we'll just see how it goes. And since we have, several different teams of volunteers, you may only serve once or twice a month. So we'll probably just practice it during practice on Tuesday nights for a couple months to make sure everybody's had at least one or two chances to practice with the click and cues and the Multitracks recordings. And then using it on Sunday, we'll maybe kind of be just playing it by ear. If Tuesday night practice goes really well with playing with the Multitracks, then great, maybe we can try it on Sunday morning and just see how it goes. And if it just goes not so great on Tuesday, we're still just kind of struggling, staying on perfect time with the click, then maybe we'll take a little bit more time and not use the Multitracks on Sunday morning. So we'll just kind of play that by ear when we actually start using it on Sunday mornings. But that's kind of the schedule I'm hoping to roll out starting soon. Let's see. I have a couple more things, guys. So like I said, I won't go super into detail with it. If you have more questions about it, please ask me. I'd be happy to answer. But there's several more things that you can start doing once you use Multitracks. And it's things like lighting and lyric automation. We could control, we want the lights to do a specific thing at a specific part of the song. We could do that. We could automate the lyrics so that the lyrics are always changing exactly when they're supposed to with the song. So it would eliminate any, accidentally changing the lyrics too late or something like that. Or if we went back and played a bridge again or something, it would eliminate the video person trying to figure out really quick, going back and finding that bridge to do the lyrics again. So I also say too, for video people, it's not replacing you either. You would still serve, of course. You're still very important and appreciated. You would be there during the worship time. When we start doing that, you would be there to kind of monitor, making sure that the lyric slides are changing as they're supposed to, which in theory they should, but if anything were to go wrong, you're kind of there as a step in to back up if the Multitracks malfunction or anything like that. You're there as a backup, and then you would still be there, of course, to do the announcements and the sermon and all the other graphics and slides that you're in charge of now, and the live stream. So you'd still be doing all that kind of stuff. Just during the worship songs, your job would get much easier. So it's not replacing you either. But let's see. So yeah, also using Multitracks, it would allow for smoother, more seamless transitions between songs. It would give me more control as the worship leader I would actually control these Multitracks. The sound guy in the back wouldn't be controlling them anymore like he is now. I would actually be controlling it with a foot pedal at my feet. I would be able to start and stop, and then I could set the different pedals to do different things, like go back to the bridge or whatever I want it to do. to give me more control over the multi-tracks just with my feet, which would be really great. And then you may also be thinking, does this totally take away the ability to be spontaneous? Because I know some of you, that's a little bit more important. As you know, like, I like to be spontaneous. At the end of a song, I love to go back and maybe we'll sing the chorus again, or we'll go back into the bridge and kind of do the bridge to the end of the song again, where we'll start quiet in the bridge and build it back up, or whatever. It does totally allow you to still be spontaneous. And again, for sake of time, I won't make you guys listen to me explain that. But if you want to know more about that, I'd be happy to explain it. So with all that being said, I think I already said, but I know this is not a small change. This is a pretty big change. And so I'm wanting to ease us into it, and I imagine you may have some questions or concerns. So if you have any, please feel free to email me, feel free to call me, or you can talk to me on Sunday or a Tuesday night practice. Just I want to be supportive of you guys, and I want to be able to answer any questions you may have. So I think that might be it. If I forget anything, I apologize. I'm going to post this video on YouTube, so maybe if I forget anything, I'll put it in the description on YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I apologize for the long video again, but a 20-minute video is much better than a 10-page email. So I appreciate you guys taking the time.